All right, everyone, welcome back for another episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Monday, May 6th, 2024. If you're not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. Anyways, let's get into it today. So markets here today holding up pretty well. So we had a pretty good bid, a little kind of gap up, consolidation, not a bad consolidation pattern, then a push higher, had a little mini, almost kind of like a mini blow off candle towards the middle of the day or end of the day. And now we're kind of we had a little pullback here. Now we're starting to float back up as we get to close to the bell here, about 15 minutes left in the day. And we'll see there's a little bit of GEX around 51.70. That's kind of where we're at right now. Maybe we could get pushed to 75. We'll see by the end of the session. But that said, what's going on right now? Well, I think we're getting a little close here to the top end of the risk range here in the short term. Maybe even in the bigger picture. Markets had a really nice rally off the lows. ES, you can see 1, 2, 3 up. So 3-bar surge kind of coming into some resistance. So this is where we broke down from previously in the beginning of April. So I'd expect sellers to kind of show up here pretty soon. So yeah, I talked about, I might be joining Team Bear here kind of soon. I was banging my fist on the table for a bounce. Right before OPEX, we got the bounce here, and now I think we're getting a little tip to the other side. So good rally, though. Good bounce. And, hey, we're up, 160 points in 3 days. So very good rally here, but I think the into this 5150, 5200 area, I think that's where the area where we should start to see sellers start to get into this market here. And I think there's the possibility for a lower high to be set here. So markets here having a good rally, and we'll keep it at that right now. Just keep it simple. I'd say right now, let's put our trend lines back on. We did get through 5150. We talked about that. Next area is going to be just sub 5200. We can get rid of some of these other day trading lines. We did pierce the 618 finally, and now we're getting close to right around 5180, 5185, 5200. I think that's where we'd likely see a few sellers come into place here. It's funny today, the market's up because the narrative here the financial media is pushing is the market stocks are higher because market participants now expect rate cuts. It's just funny how they need a narrative, right? So if the market expects rate cuts, the 2-year note has to be green, right? Right. If the market participants are expecting the Fed to cut rates, how do they do that? Right. At the short end, the 2-year's got to be. Oh, wait a minute. How's that possible? How can the 2-year be red? Right. So it's just funny how they make this stuff up here. And by the way, the 30-year is green, so the yield curve's just inverting further with this happening. So, they come up with these narratives, and nothing matters except for the charts and the flows here. But either way, markets here getting a good bid today. I think a gap up tomorrow could be something to be faded into. Maybe a turnaround Tuesday setup here. At least a pause. We have a 3-bar surge on the daily. And I do think we're coming into resistance again. I think I made that pretty clear. Triple Qs here. We're very close to... again, kind of this red bar high here, starting to come into some resistance around 440. I know everybody's going to be obsessed with this line. We're above that line. There's other things here too. I mean, you've got a 618 into the NQ. Let me clear that up there. You've got this pivot here, and this is really where we broke down from, right in this area, 18.2, 18.3. So, you don't have to, just because you get through one line in the sand doesn't mean you can't go to the other. But either way, I'm in the camp that I think this is distribution here. And I don't think that they distributed for almost 2 months just to have a 4-day dip out of that zone. I just don't think that's likely. But in any case, markets here getting a bid, like I said, and we'll see if sellers come in, or maybe they don't. But I think we'll know pretty soon. IWM here, that did hit target. I talked about 205 all the way back here, and that finally got hit today, essentially 204.78. So again, maybe we go up a little bit higher again. Even, we could get up to 2. There's a gap up here, right? That could always get filled. It's not that far away here, but I think at least today, tomorrow, upside's limited for the Russell and the Dow specifically. NASDAQ and S&P might have a little bit more upside, but I don't have the same kind of look here from the Dow or the Russell here. It looks like we got to 338.84. So we missed the gap by 10 cents on the diamond. Maybe it gets filled tomorrow, but I think this will come back down. Semiconductors really close. So I talked about 223. We're almost there, right? 220, 229 high of the day. Probably wants to touch it tomorrow. So we'll see if that gets hit. We do have Palantir earnings after the bell. This is not really semi, but it's an AI play that will influence Nvidia, which will influence the SMH. Nvidia got up to the 920 handle I've been talking about, and that satisfied that target today. The stocks here very close as well. I'd say right around, I think I said 48.50 or so last week, and it's very close to that. So semi's getting close to my level here, and we'll see if we can get a reaction tomorrow. Cloud software IGV up $1 today. Again, still inside of this kind of choppy bear flag-ish range. I don't like the IGV here very much. 82 to 84, I think this is a pretty good zone here of resistance. Again, could we get up here? Yeah, it's possible, but this is definitely weak, right? Here's the pivot high from the 26th. We are just now, right as I'm saying this, we're breaching it. Where you look at the spiders and you look at the Qs, they breached that last Friday. So IGV's a laggard. I still don't love what I'm seeing out of it. And I don't like the transports. Still have not gotten above that high from the 23rd. I don't even think, let's see, 15,474. We haven't even made an intraday high on the transports above that. So let alone a closing high. So I think the DJT is weak here. I would not look to own this right now. All right. Let me get over to rates here. So we talked briefly about it. 30-year was up a little bit. Get over here. So there, sorry. 2-year yield up again. If they're going to cut Fed funds, then this should not be green. Market participants should be selling the yield. Just find it funny. 5-year still holding up, though it is flat to lower. And the same thing with 10s and 30s. But again, it's interesting, all those yield curves coming in. So, I don't see anything terrible here for yields in the short term. And I still think bonds, they're going to have to hold up for another day or so. If yields are going to come down, I think bonds have got to consolidate a little bit. But, they're holding up right now. I do think yields can hold up for another day or so, specifically on the short end. All right, XHB getting a bid here. So still kind of in this channel here. Again, it's not a perfect channel. We could always extend it however you want to do it. But either way, it's getting a retrace here. There's a gap up here at 108.40. We'll see if it gets up there, but still inside of yesterday's or Friday's action, whereas the spiders had a pretty good outside move. So XHB, believe it or not, it's a laggard right now. So just interesting to note that. VNQ also a laggard, barely even green on the day, not a good sign. XLF was up today, up about 1%. They did come in pretty sharply. I think some of those banks, JPM went negative, Wells went negative. That had a really good fade. Citi was green. So some of the banks a little bit on the mixed side here. XLF was higher though, up 41 cents. Again, could still get that kind of zigzag up, but I'm still expecting a lower high in this. And then KRE here, basically an inside day. It had a slight outside move, but looks like we'll be inside by the close. The KBE about the same thing, although it might close above Friday's high. So KBE in a little bit better shape. And then broker dealers, new all-time highs. The volatility is good for these guys here. Oil today, I have some buy signals on this. I think it's about done selling. So this came down. It was up earlier. It gapped higher. And then it sold off on news that there was going to be a ceasefire agreement, which is bogus. It was like denied an hour later. But even before it was denied, you have a bear news headline and no follow through. That makes me bullish. I have other reasons to be bullish anyway. I've got a couple of time counts in play. You got the 50% fib, 100 MA. This is where you broke out from. You based here for like a month and a half before it broke out. I think buyers will come in. I don't know how high it's going to go, but I would say, 80 to 82 is definitely doable. That's just retesting this trend line here, and even retesting the head and shoulder neckline, right? So right in that zone. I'm looking for that. I think oil gets up there. XLE here, it had a bid that came off the highs. So that didn't recover as much with the, that was the headline news. It didn't recover as much, but it's still holding up okay. Chevron had a really big bid earlier. So did Conoco. They both came off the highs. There's Exxon as well. But I think that bounce continues a little bit more here. Although, as I said last week, I don't like, I don't like what it did with the weekly close, closing below that trend line. The same thing with XOP and OIH. They should bounce here. I don't know how much upside is in them, but they should at least continue to fill out a little bit more. CCJ, pretty good day, up 4.6. This is hammering on the highs. I talked about this weekly. That good pattern there. Very good pattern. Love the tail candle last week, test, and now it's pumping back up. I don't know if it wants to go now. Might need a few more weeks. URNM slicing through this trend line. Third hit often will get a pierce and then sometimes rejected. So I think maybe a higher low here could be bought on that. And then the NJ, same kind of deal. But they're holding up really well. I love those weekly patterns for the uranium plays. Nat Gas had a good bid today, up 2.25. Finally snapping through this falling wedge. Right, we peaked above it. We peaked above. Now we finally got through it. Possible lower high here at the 50 MA, but there's room for a higher low on this. So I'll be watching this for pattern here. If this can hold up or put in another higher low, I think it probably trades up into June. That's generally the direction it goes, the seasonally, how that works out. But good pop here. It did come off the highs. Looking at the M contract, you kind of 100 MA. You went up into that breakdown bar with just in a straight line. But I like what it did last week, closing above that. All those pivots there, and it's going to confirm that today with a secondary close above. So pretty good action there for Nat Gas, and maybe trying to turn the corner here. Dollar index flat to positive today. Again, that should hold up a little bit more as I think bonds still pull back. Right now, the weekly pattern is okay as long as you're above 103.88 on a closing basis. Gold had a really good bounce today, although it did not, let me take that back. Silver had the good bounce. Gold, not so much. Up, still inside of this red. So 23.50 is still resistance right now. But, I got a bid today. What I did like is GDX was up 2.25. GDXJ up almost 3, right? And then silver today, that was the big winner, up 3.6. I was just really hoping it would get to 26. It held the 50 MA, though, and then this is above that red bar. So good outside move for silver. And the miners, we talked about this. They've been looking good here. Miners leading the metal. That's always a good sign. Platinum flat today, a little doji there. Palladium getting a bounce here up 3.6. So those are looking okay. And then copper just doesn't want to go down. We'll watch this for a lower high, though. I'm thinking this might have to put in a lower high here. But it is getting a reflex bounce after the sell towards the end of last week, or middle to end of last week. And it's above the 20 MA, so this could just pull back here and be fine for now. And then Bitcoin here, that tried over the weekend to rally up, but it did pull back again through the trend line, and now it's kind of testing back, that breakout there. We'll see if we get one more lower high. I'm kind of in that camp right now, so we'll see if that ends up being the case. Move down into 52.5 would be interesting. I think that would be a tradable level to go long. Other scenarios, it holds up and then consolidates, and then it can go higher. But relatively quiet day for Bitcoin. Quiet day for the market too. A lot of buying going on and very little reward intraday, right? Just lots of buying all day long and not a lot of movement intraday except for this little squeeze we're getting as market's closing in about a minute here. So we're getting that little pop above, 51.75. Well, looks like 51.80 right now as I'm looking at that. But either way, big picture. I think we're probably due for a pullback here, but good move up for the bulls. Starting to come into a sell zone though, and I'd be careful. Long here, I'd look to take profits if I was at this point. So anyways, guys, gonna wrap up here. You guys take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. I'll see you guys all tomorrow.